Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
We are staring down the barrel of a digital landscape that looks nothing like the one we were all navigating even 5 years ago. I mean, for more than a decade, if you ran a business online, the goal, the holy grail was simple: SEO.
Right. Search engine optimization.
Exactly. If you could optimize your content, build some links, get to the top of Google, you won. That was the whole game.
And that, I think, is the critical strategic error that so many companies are only just now realizing they've been making. That whole paradigm, that single gateway model of, predictable digital visibility, it's been utterly broken.
Broken is a strong word.
It is. What's replaced it is something far more volatile, much more complex, and it's all being driven by generative AI.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a small adjustment here. This is a structural rupture in how customers find businesses.
Okay, structural rupture. That's a huge statement. But I have to push back just a little. I mean, Google still handles billions of searches every single day. Traffic is still vital, right? So how can we say the entire old playbook is dead?
It's dead because the objective has changed. The job of the search engine itself has changed from being a pointer to being an answerer. And our mission today is to really explore exactly why traditional SEO is no longer a reliable growth channel. And then we're going to introduce you to what we see as the necessary successor: Generative Engine Optimization, or GEO.
GEO.
And this is how you rebuild your visibility systems, not for last year, but for 2025 and all the years that follow.
So the problem in a snapshot is this: visibility no longer means just ranking #1 in Google's organic results. The era of that single gateway, it's ending. It's being replaced by AI overviews, by what's called zero-click behavior, by all these rich features that just eat up the screen, and maybe most importantly, by extreme constant volatility.
And we have the data hook right here that tells the entire dramatic story. This is the one statistic that I think should shock everyone listening and really set the tone for why we need this deep dive.
Okay, what is it?
According to SparkToro's data from 2023, over 50% of Google searches now end without a single click.
50? Over half. Think about that for a moment, you. More than half the time, a user gets their answer directly from the search engine and never, ever visits a website.
The search engine itself has become the destination.
Wow.
And that level of information aggregation by the engine, it means that the traditional SEO approach, which, let's be honest, relied entirely on getting the user to your site and converting them there, is fundamentally compromised.
It's not a problem you can solve with a few new keywords or, a small site redesign.
No, not at all. This requires a complete operational and strategic rebuild for any brand that wants to secure its future. Your goal now has to be presence, not just traffic.
All right, so let's dig into that. The end of predictability. Why is traditional SEO actually failing? Because it used to feel so, formulaic.
It did. It was a precise, if sometimes tedious, formula. Optimize the content, make sure your titles are perfect, build some good links.
And you were pretty much assured a nice trajectory up the ranking ladder. It was predictable, systematic, measurable. So let's break down the 3 foundational assumptions behind that model and why they're just completely broken today.
When you really look at it, the whole premise of traditional SEO was built on 3 core assumptions that just don't align with reality anymore. The first one was the most basic and the most critical.
Which was?
The assumption that users click into websites after they search.
And the reality check, like we just said with that SparkToro data, is no. They absolutely do not. Not even half the time. The engine is now so sophisticated that it just provides the answer right there on the results page.
Right. It eliminates the friction of the click. For any simple informational query like, how high is Mount Fuji? Or what are the hours for that restaurant? The engine gives you the answer instantly. Why would you ever click through?
You wouldn't.
And that convenience factor is it's deadly to any business relying on traffic from traditional SEO. The user is satisfied, their query is resolved, and the brand that spent, months and a ton of money optimizing a blog post for that answer gets 0 traffic, 0 engagement.
Okay, so that's assumption 1, completely shattered. What was the second failed assumption?
That the organic results would appear prominently for, 2 decades? The 10 blue links were the main event.
They were the center stage. Yeah. Right below the paid ads, you had the organic results. Prime real estate.
Now they're secondary at best, and honestly, often they're entirely invisible until you start scrolling and scrolling. They're being brutally pushed down the page by these massive AI overviews.
Which on mobile can literally take up the entire screen.
The entire screen. And then you have the interactive people also ask boxes, comparison tables, map packs, image galleries, shopping modules. I mean, by the time you finally get to the organic links, you might already be halfway down the page, or worse.
Below the fold, as they used to say.
Way below the fold. And the third assumption was this belief that ranking factors remain stable. We used to operate in these clear intervals between major core updates. You remember? Panda, Penguin.
Oh yeah, you had time to breathe. You had time to diagnose what happened, adapt your strategy, maybe recover or double down on what was working. You had these predictable periods of calm.
Exactly. And the reality now is that volatility is the new normal. Rankings shift dramatically, continuously. It makes sustained, predictable growth almost impossible if you're only relying on those old tactics.
So a win today could be a massive loss tomorrow. And not because you changed anything.
Not at all. It's because the underlying machine learning system just recalibrated itself in real time.
Okay, let's go a little deeper into that idea of shrinking organic real estate and zero-click search. You said Google is shifting from a directory to an answer engine. What does that actually look like on the results page?
It looks like instant answers. There was a 2024 SEO Rush study that gives a really stark illustration of this. It found that 17.3% of Google searches are now fully answered right on the results page.
17%. That's almost 1 in 5 searches that are just done, resolved instantly through a rich snippet or something from a knowledge graph without the searcher ever clicking a link.
Yes, and crucially, this happens before the organic links even have a chance to load. Google is prioritizing speed and convenience for the user, which, is a fantastic user experience.
But a nightmare for the traditional SEO model.
A total nightmare. And then you have to add the dominance of mobile into this. Statista says over 60% of all searches now happen on a mobile device.
And that's where the screen real estate battle is it's brutal. If an AI overview, maybe a video, a map pack, and 2 ads take up the whole screen, which they often do, that classic organic link is now several thumb flicks down.
Most users just aren't going to make that effort, especially for a quick question. The answer is right there, up front. So visibility isn't just about ranking number 1 anymore. It's about being visible in the first few inches of the screen.
Which brings us back to your big statement, that this is a strategic issue. SEO isn't failing because content got worse.
Not at all. It's failing because Google's fundamental business model has shifted. The search engine no longer needs your website to provide the answer for most queries. And that fundamentally severs that traditional brand-to-customer connection that was built entirely on the premise of driving website traffic. The whole objective has changed.
Here's where it gets really interesting then, because if the old model was a single gate Google's organic ranking system that you had to get through, this new model, GEO, it sounds more like a massive distributed network.
That's the perfect analogy. It's a mesh network. Visibility doesn't flow through one gate anymore. It's scattered across dozens of different systems, and each one of them functions as its own specialized engine.
So GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, is basically acknowledging that the customer journey now starts in all these wildly different places?
Yes, and it often involves conversational AI or specialized apps or social platforms. If your brand isn't optimized to be discovered across all of those distributed points, you are just sacrificing huge portions of your potential audience.
And the user is searching everywhere. On platforms we used to just think of as, entertainment? Let's talk about that diversification into social platforms as search engines.
The data on this is just staggering. Pew Research highlighted that 59% of young adults now treat TikTok as a primary search engine.
59%.
It's incredible. If they're looking for a recipe or a product review or a local service recommendation, say best vegan food in Austin, they're not typing it into a Google search bar. They're starting on a social video platform. They want visual, immediate, community-driven results.
And then there's YouTube. It's so big, we almost forget it's a search engine, but it's the second largest in the world.
It is. And if your business isn't optimized for discovery within these platforms, using platform native strategies like good video descriptions, keyword-rich hashtags, engaging thumbnails, you're basically invisible to a massive growing segment of the market that treats video as the source of truth.
So this fragmentation, it's not just happening outside of Google. You're saying it's happening inside Google too.
Absolutely. We have to stop thinking of Google as one single unified ranking entity.
So it's not one algorithm anymore. It's a collection of specialized mini engines, each with its own logic, all living on the same results page. That's a huge conceptual shift.
It really is. Think about it. The map packs for local businesses. They rely heavily on proximity and reviews. Then you have the knowledge graphs for entity info, the AI-generated answers, which are all about structured data, the shopping modules, the local review surfaces. They all operate as independent engines.
And a strong organic ranking doesn't guarantee you a spot in the map pack.
Not at all, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So a user searching for, say, a local plumber might never even see the organic links. They just interact with a map listing, which is governed by things like their location and review sentiment, not how perfectly you wrote your website's meta description.
And then you have all the specialized vertical and local engines.
Yes, these are the niche platforms that still completely dominate decision-making in certain industries. They prove that a single search result page isn't the only source of truth.
Right, like Yelp for restaurants and local services, TripAdvisor for travel,
Zillow for real estate, Amazon for pretty much any product purchase. Health grades for doctors. Discovery isn't governed by one system anymore. It's shaped by dozens of systems, some global, some hyperlocal, some living inside a specialized app.
So this is the official definition of GEO then.
It comes down to this. Instead of optimizing for one algorithm on one website, GEO means building consistent, structured visibility across all of these surfaces at the same time. The mandate shifts from rank number 1 on Google for this keyword to
position your entire brand to be found accurately and consistently wherever the customer starts their journey.
Precisely. That could be an AI chatbot, a map app, or just scrolling through a social feed. The moment of discovery has been completely atomized.
So let's talk about the chaos, the sheer instability that now defines modern search. If GEO is the strategy, then this algorithm volatility is the big problem that created the need for it. What exactly is volatility, and why is it so extreme now?
Volatility is just the constant, often unpredictable shifts in rankings and visibility across that whole search ecosystem. The old environment where traditional SEO was born, it was defined by relative stability. You had these occasional big announced updates. The new environment is just continuous, disruptive instability.
And the data on this is pretty wild. I saw that research tracked by Algorithms in 2023. It showed more ranking instability in a single 6-month window
Than in the previous 3 years combined.
3 years of change packed into 6 months. That's an acceleration that most businesses they weren't ready for it.
No, especially not if they were relying on long-term ranking forecasts. And there are a few complex drivers behind this. First, you have overlapping updates. Google is launching these big systems that take weeks, sometimes months, to fully roll out. And they frequently run into the next major core update before the last one is even settled.
Which creates a state of perpetual motion. You can't even isolate what caused a change. Was it update A or update B? You might recover from one, only to get hit by the next one a week later. It makes diagnosis impossible.
Right. Then you have the continuous, unannounced adjustments. These are often related to things like user satisfaction and trustworthiness.
Yeah.
This is where that concept of EEAT comes in.
Okay, let's break that down. EEAT, it's industry jargon, but it's central now. It stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Exactly. And EAT isn't a ranking factor in the old sense. It's more of an underlying philosophy that Google uses to evaluate content quality and who created it. And they're continuously fine-tuning these measures in the background, often in real time, to weed out low-quality or untrustworthy content.
So they don't always announce these tweaks, but they cause these ripples across the search results.
Huge ripples. So if your site drops in the rankings, it might not be a technical problem.
Yeah.
It might just be that Google's perception of your trustworthiness dropped a little bit because of some new background adjustment.
But the single biggest driver of this chaos, the one that makes true stability impossible, is the shift to these complex machine learning systems.
That's the chaos driver. Correct. These ranking systems are designed to continuously recalibrate themselves based on just enormous amounts of data user behavior, how they interpret queries, content patterns. They're constantly learning, adapting, and changing in real time, often without any direct human input.
Which leads to these totally unpredictable shifts.
You can't optimize for a target that is constantly moving because it's actively teaching itself how to be better every single second of every day.
And Google basically confirmed this in late 2023. They came out and said it.
They did. They explicitly stated that many of their ranking systems now update continuously in real time.
Yeah.
That's not just, corporate language. It's an admission that there are no longer any predictable periods of stability. Stability is now a relic of the past.
So any strategy built on the expectation of stability, which was the entire foundation of the traditional SEO industry, just can't hold up.
It can't. If your whole visibility system relies on ranking number one for 6 months to get a predictable return on investment, you're just setting yourself up for continuous anxiety and, frankly, likely failure.
Volatility is now a feature, not a bug.
It's a core feature of modern search. Businesses have to stop fighting it and start leaning into it. You have to build systems designed for this chaotic multi-platform reality. The only way to maintain visibility is to be so consistently visible and trustworthy across so many different services that a fluctuation in one engine, even the biggest one, doesn't kill your entire customer pipeline. You need distributed resilience.
Okay, so if we're moving away from optimizing a single web page for one algorithm, what are the top brands actually doing instead? You're saying they're building credibility and consistency across multiple surfaces. This is the foundation of GEO. Let's break down these 5 pillars.
The first pillar is the most foundational. It's maybe the biggest conceptual shift. It's entity-first visibility.
Entity first.
This means shifting your focus away from optimizing individual pages and toward optimizing your brand as a whole, credible, identifiable entity. Google Search Central now explicitly emphasizes the brand as a whole entity over the performance of a single web page.
Okay, I need to understand that word entity. What does that actually mean to Google? Is it just my website?
An entity is just a thing that Google understands. Think about their knowledge graph. Google is trying to understand who you are, what specific services you reliably offer, what authority you have in the real world, not just how many times you used a keyword on your homepage. An entity has attributes, relationships, and credibility.
So if I'm a local baker, my entity is defined by my physical address, my specialty, say, sourdough, my reputation from reviews, and the consistency of that information everywhere, not just how well I wrote my About Us page.
Exactly. The key mechanism here is data consistency. When your name, your services, your product descriptions are perfectly aligned and consistent across all platforms, your Google business profile, Yelp, social media, industry directories, the engines can confidently identify and surface that cohesive entity. And that consistent signal often has a greater, more stabilizing impact on your visibility than just raw link volume ever did.
Okay, pillar 1 is the entity. What's pillar 2?
Pillar 2 is zero-click optimization. This is the direct, practical response to that cold, hard fact that over half of searches end without a click.
So the goal isn't to drive traffic to the site anymore.
Not primarily. The strategic objective has to pivot. You have to maximize the impact and presence of your information on the search results page itself, or within an AI summary. You're optimizing for the excerpt, not for the click-through.
Which means structuring your content for quick answers. You're intentionally writing things that are super concise, that answer direct questions definitively, and use clean, machine-readable language, right? And using schema markup.
Thorough schema markup. You're essentially feeding the engine exactly what it needs to instantly answer the user and feature your brand prominently as the source of that answer.
Okay, makes sense. Pillar 3.
Pillar 3 addresses that diversification we talked about. It's social search optimization. This is about making sure you're relevant and discoverable on the platforms where discovery is actually happening now, especially for younger audiences.
Right. With 7 in 10 Gen Z users treating platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram as search engines, you have to be there. And your visibility depends on creating platform-native content.
Short form, often visual content. Brands that adapt to the visual and conversational way people search on these specific platforms, using a trending audio clip or a specific video format, they're meeting users at that new moment of discovery. A vertical video showing how your product works is now a critical search result.
Okay, pillar 4.
Pillar 4 is review engine optimization. The importance of reviews cannot be overstated. They've gone from being a simple marketing tool to being a crucial, measurable ranking signal across the entire GEO ecosystem.
They serve a dual function, right? They're trust signals for customers. I think Bright Local reported that 89% of consumers trust reviews as much as a personal recommendation.
And they are critical ranking inputs for local and vertical search engines.
So consistent, frequent review activity and actually responding to those reviews, it boosts your credibility with both the algorithm and the human customer.
It leads to higher priority placement in the map pack and in those specialized directories. I mean, if your competitor has 500 recent 5-star reviews and you have 50 old ones, who do you think the algorithm and the customer are going to choose? Every single time.
The competitor. Okay, finally, pillar 5.
Pillar 5 is AI answer engine alignment. This is about optimizing for the machine that is consuming your data to generate new knowledge and recommendations for users.
So systems like ChatGPT, Google's SGE, Perplexity, They're constantly synthesizing huge amounts of information to create their answers.
And they rely heavily on robust, structured data, on strong citations, on clear, unambiguous brand information they find all over the web. They prioritize sources they deem trustworthy based on that whole EEAT framework.
So the strategic advantage is that companies that invest in a really strong, well-supported digital footprint with pristine structured data and cross-platform consistency are way more likely to be included as a primary citation in those AI-generated answers.
You're building confidence in the machine's ability to recommend you as a source of truth.
Okay, so before any business makes this big strategic shift, you have to know where you stand right now. Where do you appear? How often? With what consistency? This sounds like you need a comprehensive GEO footprint assessment.
Exactly. It's a diagnostic checklist. Traditional SEO audits, they focused inward, right? Almost entirely on the website's health, its code, its content. A GEO assessment is external facing. It's an ecosystem evaluation. We need to look at 6 key areas across every surface a customer might encounter.
Let's run through that checklist. Number 1 is map pack presence.
And this goes way beyond just having a Google business profile listing. It's about deep keyword coverage within that profile, your local rankings for your main services, and accurate service area representation. If you're a plumbing company that services 3 different cities, are you actually visible and competitive in the map packs for all 3 of them? Proximity isn't enough anymore.
Okay, number 2 on the checklist.
Review velocity and distribution. This looks at the volume and recency of your reviews, that's the velocity, but critically, also the consistency of those reviews across all platforms. Are your reviews fragmented, like some on Google, some on Yelp, some on an industry site? Or is that positive sentiment unified and frequently updated everywhere? Fragmentation just dilutes the credibility signal.
Number 3, social search visibility. Do you actually show up in search results inside TikTok, YouTube, Instagram? Are you making content that those platforms' internal search algorithms prioritize based on their own native signals, like keywords in the video transcript or relevant hashtags?
Number 4, directory and vertical engine coverage. Are your profiles complete and prominent across all the key vertical platforms for your industry? This means an honest assessment of whether a very specific customer, say, someone looking for a certain type of lawyer on Avo, can easily find you there.
And number 5, you said this is the crucial one that ties it all together: entity consistency.
This is the core of data hygiene. It's checking your NAP, data name address, phone for absolute accuracy everywhere, but it's also about validating your schema markup, your profile alignment, and making sure your business descriptions are consistent across every single cross-platform listing.
Because if your address is slightly different on 3 different sites, or your phone number is old in a directory,
your entity credibility suffers across the board. The AI system reads that as conflicting information. It makes it less likely to trust you or recommend you, and it increases your volatility.
And finally, number 6,
AI engine recall. This is a forward-looking metric. How often does your brand actually appear in the generated answers when a relevant question is asked of an AI system, like if you tested on ChatGPT or Perplexity?
And what most brands discover when they do this assessment is
dramatic imbalance. They might have a fantastically optimized website, but really weak map pack visibility, or strong map presence, but they're completely absent from social search. And that fragmentation is precisely what GEO is designed to resolve. Your digital presence shouldn't be a patchwork quilt of uncoordinated efforts. It needs to be a unified, consistent entity that all engines recognize immediately and trust implicitly.
Okay, now let's do a deep dive into this specific practice that replaces old keyword research: prompt tracking. Why is the shift from keywords to prompts so necessary?
It's necessary because AI isn't just a feature on Google anymore. It's being embedded everywhere. Gartner is predicting that 40% of enterprise applications will have task-specific AI agents by 2026.
40%.
That means the way businesses are found is fundamentally shifting from a static keyword in a search box to an interpretive conversational AI interface. Users are conversing with the system, not just instructing it.
So prompt tracking is the practice of systematically testing how these conversational AI engines respond to the kinds of natural language questions that real customers actually ask, and then rigorously evaluating when and how your brand shows up.
We're moving way beyond just optimizing for best plumber NYC. We are now testing conversational prompts that mimic real user behavior. Things like, who are the top service providers near me that offer same-day service? Or what companies are highly recommended for this specific niche? Or the comparative question, which business is best for this category based on recent customer feedback?
This sounds a lot more granular and human than old keyword research. So running these questions through modern tracking tools gives you a direct sense of how the AI interpreter understands and positions your brand.
It's like listening in on your customers' most natural, unfiltered conversations, and it helps reveal crucial consistency gaps. It lets you check if your brand is showing up accurately, if the info is current, and if you're competitive for these key conversational inquiries.
So it highlights where your competitors are dominating and where you have gaps in your authority or data.
Exactly. The ultimate advantage here is visibility share. As AI becomes the starting point for research, the brands that consistently appear in those generated answers will have a clear, measurable advantage. It's like the new impression share from the old paid search model. If you're not cited by the AI for that 50+% of zero-click users, you effectively don't exist. Your goal is to be consistently cited as a trustworthy answer.
The good news in all of this, I guess, is that the foundational SEO skills and resources that teams have developed don't just disappear, they take on new roles.
They absolutely do.
Yeah.
The technical foundation still matters, but now it has to support visibility across dozens of platforms, not just one website. GEO reframes these old SEO tactics to align with systems that prioritize the entire brand entity, structured data, micro-content, and real customer signals instead of just raw rankings. This involves 5 critical translations.
Okay, translation 1. Keyword research becomes prompt research and social search trends. So instead of just focusing on those short tail keywords people type into Google,
Brands now have to study 2 new areas. First, those natural language prompts users ask AI tools, which are often long, complex, conversational. And second, the unique visual search behaviors happening on platforms like TikTok and YouTube. This holistic approach shows you not just how people phrase their needs, but how these new engines process those needs for intent, not just text matching.
Okay. Translation 2. On-page optimization becomes entity optimization and schema infrastructure. The old focus was so narrow, right? It was all about keyword density and meta tags on a page.
And now that attention is directed to a new focus, presenting a perfectly clear, consistent, structured picture of your entire business across the whole web. This means leveraging schema markup aggressively. Think of schema as translating your content into a resume that a machine can read instantly. It knows exactly what you're offering, your location, your price range, your average review score, your hours.
That clarity helps every engine, not just Google, confirm who you are.
And what you do. It helps them identify your brand entity with confidence across the internet, which leads to higher trust and better placement in knowledge panels and AI answers.
Translation 3. Content marketing becomes multi-platform micro-content. The old idea that one big long-form blog post would carry all the weight, that's outdated.
That long post is still useful, but only if it's supported by dozens of other smaller pieces of content.
So content has to be broken down into these modular formats that each engine can easily surface and reuse.
Exactly. Short, searchable videos for social search. Structured, concise FAQs for AI answers. Easily consumable snippets that those rich SRP features can just grab and reuse. It's about content diversity and immediate utility, tailored to the platform. You're publishing content to be excerpted, not necessarily read in its entirety.
Okay. Translation 4. Link building becomes digital PR and review generation. Raw link volume used to be the metric, which led to a lot of questionable practices just to game the system.
Now, the engines are looking for authentic, real-world signals of credibility, those EEAT signals. This means shifting focus to digital PR earning legitimate news mentions, being cited as an expert, and focusing heavily on getting high-quality verified reviews. These diverse third-party signals strengthen your authority in a way that matters everywhere: Google, social, AI, because they prove real people and publications actually trust you.
And finally, translation 5. Technical SEO becomes data consistency and platform hygiene. Clean site architecture and speed still matter for the user experience, but technical health has expanded way beyond just the website.
The new focus is making sure that every platform, every directory, every piece of structured data displays the exact same core information about your business: accurate NAP data, consistent service descriptions, updated directory listings, error-free schema. That's the new technical foundation, because this directly enables that strong cross-engine entity-based visibility. If a machine can't confirm your identity instantly and consistently, you fail the technical test for GEO.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? How do you practically move your visibility system from the old SEO playbook into this new GEO reality? Let's talk about the action plan. We've outlined 6 core strategic steps.
The first step is fundamental visibility expansion, multi-platform presence. You have to commit to appearing on at least 5 distinct engines that your target audience frequently uses, not just Google. This means a presence on key vertical engines and social search platforms where your customers are actually starting their research. You can't wait for them to click over to Google.
Second, review velocity system. You need a formalized, reliable system for consistent review generation. This is completely non-negotiable for ranking and for trust. We mentioned that Bright Local report, 89% of consumers trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. You have to make generating these authentic signals part of your daily operation, not just a one-off campaign.
Third, map pack optimization. If your business has any kind of local component, and most do local search drives critical revenue, it now drives 28% of Google conversions. That makes dedicated map visibility, including continuous service area optimization and meticulous profile management, a critical direct revenue driver. You have to treat your Google business profile as seriously as you treat your own website.
Fourth, zero-click structured content. You need to audit your existing content and proactively create new information that is designed to be consumed on the results page, not just your website.
Right. Platform-native FAQs, short, definitive answers, schema-enhanced snippets that satisfy the engine's need for instant answers. You have to give the engine exactly what it needs to feature you.
Fifth, searchable social content. You have to fully recognize social media as a genuine search environment. You need to publish content that specifically matches the visual conversational search patterns of TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. This means using search-optimized titles and descriptions within those platforms tailored to that specific audience.
And sixth, the strategic future-proofing step, AI engine visibility. Proactively strengthen your structured data and your authoritative references all across the web. This increases the likelihood that AI systems will use your brand as a primary citation. You're building confidence in the machine's ability to recommend you as a source of truth for the most complex conversational questions.
So in essence, transitioning to GEO requires a wholesale restructuring of how you measure, build, and maintain visibility. You're moving from a site-centric approach to a distributed, entity-centric management approach.
It's the comprehensive, holistic system that you need to secure your digital presence in this new, unpredictable environment.
So to wrap up our deep dive today, the core takeaway seems really clear. Traditional SEO failed because it assumed a single, stable gateway and the promise of guaranteed website traffic. That world is it's gone. It's been replaced by fragmentation and AI.
And GEO succeeds by doing the exact opposite. It embraces volatility. It focuses on distributed, consistent entity visibility across every possible customer discovery surface maps, social, AI chats, specialized directories. It's about being omnipresent, trustworthy, and easily citable by any automated system.
We're really entering an era where your organic ranking is far less important than just being included and cited. If AI keeps aggregating and answering queries using structured data, then the relationship between your brand presence and your information quality, that absolute consistency we talked about, that becomes the single most important metric. It outweighs a simple ranking position.
Which leaves us to our final provocative thought for you to consider as you reflect on this necessary strategic shift. Since prompt tracking is the new keyword research, what is the single most important natural language question your ideal customer is asking an AI right now?
And how often does your brand appear accurately, consistently, and competitively in that resulting answer? That is the new measurement of success in the generative era.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the future of online visibility.